All right, Ohio State football talk with Tony Gerdeman right here on Mark Rogers TV as we look at recruiting and a little bit more attention given to this this venture, of course, with the early signing period in Ohio State by most services holding down that #1 spot for most of the offseason. Tony, I believe we've got a few commits coming in.
Yeah, the 2 this week alone with St. Louis receiver Kamryn Babb, 4-star guy. Missed this season with an ACL tear, but Ohio State is used to dealing with that, and they'll get him back and ready to go for the season. And then Tuesday with defensive tackle Tommy Togiai from Idaho. I believe it's the first Idaho player Urban Meyer has ever recruited. You know, it's not exactly a hotbed there, but just a big defensive tackle, 6'3", 290, who moves like a defensive end. If you watch his film, he's kind of long and can get up and down the line and chase running backs. And he's a pretty decent pass rusher. So those are 2 big guys, 2 big gets. I think the recruiting class right now is about 21 players. So it's pretty full, but they're still out there trying to get a few more. So where they put them, where they find room for them might get a little interesting. But there'll be obviously some NFL departures and some guys leaving for playing time. But yeah, it's a pretty good class, really good. Well, it's Ohio State's Urban Meyer, so it's a really good class. What it's missing, though, is defensive ends. They don't have any. They lost a 5-star guy, decommitted, Brenton Cox from Georgia. Decommitted. He'll stay down south. And why it's such a concern now is because they'll probably be losing 3 defensive ends to the NFL with Jalen Holmes, Tyquan Lewis are both seniors. Sam Hubbard's a redshirt junior who is graduating, expected to leave early. So that will basically leave them with just 3 defensive ends on the roster. Now they could move a tight end, Rashad Berry, who was a defensive end before moving to tight end. Might have to move a defensive tackle over. But they need some guys. And there's a guy in Cleveland, 4-star guy, Tyreke Smith, who has been waffling back and forth between Ohio State and Penn State. He's really, at this point, he's a must-have just for bodies. And so you don't want to just strike out at a position like this where they have done so well, signing 5-star guys basically every year that Urban Meyer has been at Ohio State with Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, Chase Young is the guy freshman this year. Jonathan Cooper came in with Bosa, another 5-star guy. So they've got this history. But right now, all of the 5-star guys that they normally get are trending elsewhere. So Tyreke Smith is a huge priority for them, and they won't get left at the altar. They'll get somebody, but I also don't think they'll want to reach and go after somebody who can't play at Ohio State or would necessarily need a redshirt, because they'll need him next year. So they got to get somebody who can play. And a guy who that might be would also already be on the team in Draymond Jones, who's redshirt sophomore defensive tackle, possibly could be headed to the NFL. But he came to Ohio State as a defensive end. He's really athletic, 6'3", 280, who might get a look there if he comes back, and could also maybe increase his draft stock by showing that he could play inside and outside next year.
Ohio State looking for another stellar recruiting class here in 2018, holding down the #1 spot according to most services, and a couple commits coming into the fold in the past week. Kamryn Babb, the number 22 rated wide receiver, according to 247 Sports out of St. Louis in particular. Tony Gerdeman joining us from the Ozone to break down Ohio State football with the Buckeyes preparing for the Trojans that last few days of the year down in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl. Tony, we appreciate the time. Hopefully we can flag you down for some USC personnel breakdown. We appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.